Deadpool and Wolverine spoiler talk. If you haven't seen the movie and you don't want the spoilers, I know some people do, but if you don't want the spoilers, this is not the video for you because we are talking about it right now. Oh my gosh, when Wesley Snipes showed up, I freaked out. I did not think that was going to happen.
No, that was
all.
That whole moment was like that moment was built so well.
It really was. And what's interesting is like I texted you this today. I sent you that thumbnail that I made in the one video. It was Deadpool in the middle, Chris Evans, Human Torch on one side, and Channing Tatum Gambit on the other side. And I don't know why though. When I saw all the cameos, I was still so shocked. And it's almost like I forgot about them. Like the entire movie leading up to that part was so captivating that when they showed up, I lost my mind. I was like, yeah. And then but the Wesley Snipes one, I actually didn't think was going to be in it. And the Channing Tatum one was always just like, that was a rumor. Right. It was never like, oh, this is confirmed. Like, you know, like Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, they were all saying Elektra was in it. Right.
Right. Everybody.
But that was like the only one besides X-23, which they revealed in the trailer. Right. Of course. So, but, oh man, I was freaking out. I was freaking out. It was such a cool moment. And the fight scene with them all in it was done insanely well.
Yeah, it was so cool. I was actually really hoping that they were going to take from X-Men 97 and Channing Tatum was going to electrify the claws. I was waiting for that to happen because they were running by each other at one moment.
Oh, right.
That'd be so cool just to see that real quick. That would have been really tough, but they didn't end up doing it. But all of it was awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe they could have, but you know, it was filmed a while ago. They did reshoots.
They've gone in and out a lot. I was just waiting for it because I actually probably would have stood up in the theater at that point. Like it would have been over.
It would have been really cool. I will say, his Channing Tatum Gambit, that was something because the accent was.
That was hilarious to me. I thought that was so funny.
Me too, and because they made it into the joke, right? They made you know, like, hey, this isn't serious. He's like, who the hell is your accent coach, right? Or something. Like the fact that they did it as a joke, right? And it's like you know, we've seen Channing Tatum in a lot. Like he's not a bad actor by any means. He's he
did a good job being a bad actor because the whole joke behind it is you weren't good enough to do this, so you're going to be kind of like a subpar, like parody of what you should have been. But then all the subtle comments as well, like I didn't have an Earth, and if I had a dad and I had no one to save, it's killing me
because he never got his movie.
He never had. I was born here, I think.
Right, and that's the classic.
Immediately sent to the void.
I know, so funny, so clever, and that was so clever. The line that he's like, they call me the Gambit. He's like, are you sure? Are you sure you just didn't really want them to, but it never ended up happening? I was like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
So
and so here's actually something that's really funny. I was talking to Greg from the Real Rejects. Most people know him today, and we were just talking about our initial reaction seeing it. And I was like, you know, what's really interesting. Because he was talking about the people in his theater freaking out. I was like, dude, there was like 20 people in my theater. And I wasn't sitting next to like a lot of them. It was just like me and my brother were directly next to each other. And I was like, you know, talking to him pretty much the whole entire time. But me and my brother and a couple of my friends were the only people laughing. Like you could kind of hear other people laughing, right? But I think it's just like this movie really is made for MCU fans. Like it is just hilarious how much they threw in there, whether it's fourth wall breaking or, you know, paying homage to Elektra, whatever it may be. Chris Evans showing up and Deadpool wanting him to be Captain America. I mean, but it's so funny because I was like, I think this is a testament to the film because like it's easy to laugh when a lot of people are laughing, right? It's easy to get caught up in that because it's kind of infectious. But for me, it was like, yeah, other people were laughing, but it was a really big theater. Like it's like called Platinum X or something like that. Like it seats a ton of people and there was only like 20 people, you know, so only like 4 groups. We were very spread out. So even when they were laughing, if they were laughing kind of low, then it, you know, you couldn't really hear them. So I think it's a big testament to the film. Hi, Edgy. My cats just jump around on my desk here. She has to get to her window through my desk, her little window porch thing. But I think it's a big testament to the film that I was just laughing so hard without getting caught up in the, oh, everyone's laughing, so it's funny type of thing. I was like, no, genuinely on my own, I was just cracking up.
Well,
Some people.
to add to the reverse of exactly
Yeah,
what you were just saying, I have sitting next to me my wife, who isn't the most versed in Marvel stuff and isn't always the
right.
best at staying awake through movies, but she's cracking up the whole time and she's laughing. So she doesn't really necessarily know, but there is a little bit of it for everybody. And one of my big praises for it was there was a lot of nostalgia, there was a lot of connecting the
Yeah,
dots.
yeah.
But from watching her watch the film, I can see that you don't have to know all that to enjoy the movie as well. Like the
No, it's a
subtlety of
standalone great film.
exactly. And then there was a point, and it was right after, Channing Tatum and all of them walk in, and I'm sitting there cracking up because most of that it was epic, and then it was funny, and then it was epic
Right.
again, and I'm sitting there like having a reaction, and she can see that, and she like kind of looked over me, and she's like, "Do you know who all of these people are?" And I'm like, "Yes." Right, but she's still sitting there laughing at some of the because there are not only nostalgia based jokes, it's not only memes from which to some extent maybe even in Spider-Man they leaned into the memes where they're pointing at each other and people wouldn't necessarily get that, or oh, you have webs that come out of your, but Ryan Reynolds did such a good job grabbing the entire audience and bringing them into the story with subtle jokes,
Yeah,
and I thought
yeah,
that was
yeah.
really cool.
No, he really did, and it's funny you said like Spider-Man. He's like, I'm like, dude, that's literally the only Spider-Man reference we got.
I know.
Like there was so much that I'll take blame for this as well, because I was gonna say there's so much that like some scoopers got wrong, right? We report on it all, but I had theories of my own that I thought were gonna happen that didn't happen. A lot of cameos that I thought were like, dude, we saw no, I mean, Gambit's an X-Men, right? But
Hmm.
we didn't see Cyclops,
No,
Storm,
we were waiting for all of them.
Professor X, Beast. Like they were mentioned. Like
Yeah.
everyone I just said was mentioned either by Wolverine or by Cassandra Nova or whatever it may be. And I thought we really were going to see all these X-Men characters. We didn't see any of them, but
I didn't
after the
notice.
movie, I was sitting. No, I didn't. Right? It didn't take away from the movie, but it's really funny. Like it just kind of hit me like really quickly after the movie. I was just like, they're saving it for Secret Wars. Like that, it's 100% what they're doing. I just know that's what they're doing, and it was really cool how they had that homage to the Fox franchise.
Yeah,
After
cool.
I was like, that's actually really really cool. They're like, that's a really cool thing for the MCU, Disney, Kevin Feige to do. But Kevin Feige started with the very first X-Men, right? So he was associate producer, so or assistant producer, one of those. It's really cool to see him pay homage to that, but it didn't take away not having any of the X-Men in it, which you can't say any of them because Gambit was in there. But I actually did really like their team: Elektra, Blade, Gambit, X-23. Really, really cool.
It was like a
Really,
really
really
small taste of what's to come. Probably intentionally too, where you're getting these people from different parts of the world, different universes, different stories, different
cool. Yeah.
backgrounds. Some were actual characters, some just really wanted to be.
Right.
But
That was done so
and
well.
then here they are going into a really cool, simple fight, truthfully. And it was just hand-to-hand combat where we saw some moves and it was fast-paced and it was really fun.
Yeah. What's interesting to me is all the fight scenes were really good, but it was an interesting choice for me to have the Deadpool core be the final fight.
That was weird.
That is the final fight.
Yeah, that
unless
was it.
I'm mistaken, right? Unless I'm
pretty much,
misremembering. But that's the final fight, and then Peter shows up, who apparently is just awesome and kinky apparently. But Peter shows up and is like, "Hey, he's with me," and everyone's like, "Oh, cool, no big deal. Everyone has a Peter. He's awesome," and they go directly to the Time Ripper and try to stop Cassandra Nova after that. And then that's kind of how they defeat her, through the power of friendship. And which I'm fine with. Like, I'm fine with that, right? I'm fine with how it ended, but it is a little weird that the final fight wasn't really against the villain of the film. Now, the Deadpool core worked for her, right? So it's like, in a way, it kind of is, but it wasn't actually against her, which is something that I found a little odd, right? But at the same time, like, I guess there's no other way to beat her now that they wouldn't have Juggernaut's helmet, right? Like, they just couldn't, like, you wouldn't be able to beat her. She's incredibly powerful. Like,
there's really no way to write that.
No, she's throwing Wolverine through the ground. Like, they did do a really good job at showing, like, yeah, like, this is a villain that you're just, like, not going to beat. like straightforward, right? Like you can't beat her in like a straightforward fight. Like she wiped the floor with Wolverine. She's clearly wiped the floor with anybody else who's came near her. And that's kind of does a really good job at showing you how powerful psychics are, right? You can have other really powerful mutants. She even says like, oh, killed Magneto, right? She knew that was the only way, like his helmet, like she killed it, she melted it down. And so it just shows you, it's just, you have these really, really powerful mutants, these powerful characters, but like psychics are strong.
Yeah, for sure.
Strong. And she even killed Professor Xavier because, you know, she got his chair and stuff like that. But yeah, so to me, like the ending was a little interesting, and then I did find some pacing issues a little bit, more so kind of in, I would say, like the middle of the movie. Like I think the beginning was really good, the ending was really good, with the exception of it was just kind of odd to me that they fought the Deadpool Corps as like the main villain at the end. But in the middle, they just like kind of spread out. There's some really slow parts that I think definitely necessary, but some, and like there was a lot of deep moments in it, but I think some moments were trying to be deep and they just didn't come off as that deep. And I think those are the only complaints I have about the movie. Like,
really? Okay.
Yeah.
I think we were discussing my one big one, and that could potentially be a big plot hole problem. And that's kind of like the whole movie didn't need to happen. This is where I'm thinking.
I wanna see it again though before I really
dive into like this plot hole thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
we can talk about it, but
yeah. Well, essentially, what I'm kind of noticing is Paradox pulls Deadpool out and says, "Hi, I'm Paradox." We very quickly learn that he's kind of going rogue and doing his own thing. Right. We also very quickly learn he's trying to destroy everything. Paradox was given the instructions by the higher ups to get Deadpool and send him over to the main universe. But according to the higher ups, Deadpool's universe was going to last for another 1,000 years.
Right.
So I'm sure there's some really easy way to combat that with like, oh, well, he was just trying to get him out so that when he destroyed the universe, they still had him. I'm sure.
I think you're actually posing two different questions / plot holes here, and I've answered one already to a friend last night. Because there's a question of why not just let it die, and that answer is pretty easy. That's specifically because Paradox is assigned to that timeline, watching it die. Because remember, the TVA age, right? So it's like you live for millions. He doesn't want to wait. 2,000, 3,000 years. So that's a pretty simple answer.
No, I don't disagree with the desire to go destroy the timeline. I just don't understand the.
But why did they pull Deadpool out? Right? Why didn't he just destroy the timeline with Deadpool in it? Yeah, because if they are off the grid, it's my understanding that he would have lied about that, right? B-15 wouldn't say, hey, bring Deadpool out. He did. I will say, like, one other big question that still lingers in my mind is what is going to happen with Deadpool and Thor? And Deadpool asked many times throughout the movie, he's like, what was that scene with Thor? Like,
so that would be where my ultimate like issue probably goes forward. Like, plot holes are plot holes. It's a movie. Shut up. That's my ultimate opinion at the end of the day. Like, they needed a reason to pull Deadpool out. This is what they came up with.
Perfect. Yeah. And
I love the movie.
Whatever.
Yeah. But I do think my biggest disappointment with the film, and this is kind of riding off of the back of what Kevin Feige said 4 days before it came out, where if Endgame's a 10 and the importance of the multiverse, this is an 8. Right. I didn't see it. We went to the main timeline maybe one time with Happy. And then where they ended back in the Fox universe, which is supposed to make its way to the Marvel universe,
which is still there.
So it's like, yes, there were a ton of seeds that could kind of spring up anywhere. We could probably sit here for an hour and discuss possibilities and ways that it could show up. But that's what we've been doing for 3-4 years. I think I, in my mind, was really excited for. Here is an answer.
Right.
Deadpool is an Avenger. Something.
Right.
And that's probably my biggest disappointment.
No, I can see that, especially because Kevin Feige said like a day before the movie came out, this is an 8. And
that's a big number.
He can say that because he knows what happens next.
Well, that brings me to my question. Do they still not know? Is that the only reason?
They know. No,
is that the only reason that they're not like, hey, Deadpool, come on over, because they don't really know where to fit him in yet?
No, I think they know. I think I personally see a plan. I personally think that the 10,005 universe that they're in, which by the way apparently has a well, maybe not his universe his universe might not have Avengers, but the other's Logan universe had Avengers because he was like, F the Avengers, blah, blah, blah. I love how he was like, the X-Men wouldn't accept you. They'll accept anybody.
That was pretty funny.
I was like, oh, snap. They'll accept anybody.
That was a great line.
Like, dang. Just like, true, Charles would accept everybody. So the Logan, I'm not sure they told us which universe he came from, where he let down, all the X-Men, they died. Well, but there was clearly there was clearly Avengers in that universe because he knows the Avengers. So maybe there aren't Avengers in the 10,005 universe, but I think their universe is now on a trajectory that leads to the 616 universe. And I think they eventually hit each other, or if they grow like this, branch timelines eventually start to hit each other and then affect the main timeline. And I do believe, and I said this yesterday, that could be the 10,005 universe, could be the universe at the end of the Marvels. Yeah. So you would have at that point, because remember, they exist in the universe before Logan died. So now there are technically 2 Wolverines in that universe. Which actually would be really cool in Secret Wars to see 2 Wolverines, 2 Hugh Jackman Wolverines. But that means eventually these characters will die, but not before Secret Wars, right? Or eventually Logan will die. So right now you have a full X-Men team in that universe. We don't really know the time that Monica Rambeau in the other, when she went to the other universe with X-Men, we don't know when in time that is, but I'm assuming it's probably right there at the end of Deadpool and Wolverine. So to me, I see that plan because Kevin Feige is a kind of like a source material guy. He knows the material. He knows the comics. So he knows all the universes have to be destroyed, or the multiverse has to be destroyed before they go into Secret Wars.
Absolutely.
So, all these universes.
Do we get another movie in that universe moving forward somehow?
I would like that. I'd like it to tie into other MCU universes and stuff like that. But we already know moving forward that is going to happen because we get the Fantastic Four movie, which is going to take place in a completely different universe than Kevin Feige. He already confirmed that. So I would like to see many other movies take place in other universes. But at the same time, maybe just Avengers 5 brings us all together, right? Yeah. Because there's supposed to be 60 plus characters in that movie.
Yeah, no, the movie on its own individually, I mean, what more could you possibly ask for?
I give it like an 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, no, it was very, very high up there. If this movie came out and it was just Deadpool 3 ending the trilogy, I literally have no issues. My only concern is the same thing we've been dealing with for years, and that's like, where is it going next? It's kind of the same. Ultimately, I was just gonna say, ultimately, Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness on its own was a good movie. The problem with that was, where is it going? And it's the same kind of thing. As the final battle's a little underwhelming because it's all leading up to a real final battle, and Cassandra Nova's a pawn, and Paradox is a pawn, and we're trying to move all the pieces to get to the point, and that I can't even live with. Like, I don't need a big, glorious final battle. I'd like to know what the plan is, and maybe we're gonna find out in less than 24 hours.
And tomorrow, right? Yeah, that's what I'm banking on, in all honesty. I'm banking on tomorrow giving us that clarity that everybody really, really wants. But I think Kevin Feige is also kind of notorious at keeping things secret. But he said in an interview, he's like, we have the next 5+ years planned. And he said many times before, whatever we have announced, on top of that, we have 5 additional years. So let's say, they have, this is kind of hard this time because they have like part of phase 6 announced, right? Yeah. But so if you want to go, let's just say 2026, is that when Avengers 5 is supposed to come out, or 2025? 2025. Let's just say 2025 because we have a lot coming in 2025. So he has till 2010 planned out, right? So they have the next saga, at least the beginning of it, planned out. So in theory, they have all of phase 6 planned. They have their villain planned, whoever the heck that's going to be. They have how, Deadpool, like they have like the general outline. I'm not saying they have all the very specific details, like this person's going to fight this person or whatever that is. But like, I do believe they know how the universe that Deadpool and Wolverine are in now, they know how that's going to come in contact with ours. Fantastic Four universe, they come into our universe as well, or and this is very well could happen, everyone ends up in the void. All the universes cool. Just
like Battle
end up
World
in the void.
The void, and that was hinted at by Cassandra.
Exactly. I was thinking that I thought that at one point in time of watching it, I was just like, what if Battle World is just like, what if the void is Battle World?
That'd be pretty cool, actually. I could see that being
kind of like a Mad Max type of thing, and like
they made a couple jokes about that too. That was hilarious.
Right? Yeah. Or they said Furios at one point.
She is with
me. And then I thought to myself, like, what if Secret Wars does a time jump again? Like, right, the universe gets destroyed. You have all of these people who are in the void. You do a time jump to where they have technology and they've built cities and they've done all of this stuff, and they're building up kind of to like the end game. How do we go back in time? Well, and then for Secret Wars, how do we reverse the destruction of the multiverse?
Yeah.
Right. How do we get the technology we need to kill Kang or whatever it may be? Like, that could very well be what we're headed for. And that would make a lot of sense structurally, story-wise, so far with what we've been dealt.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that would be really exciting too. And it's like the big connection of it, and just knowing that somewhere down the road, for sure, Deadpool and Wolverine are going to be involved. That's super, super, super exciting.
Right. And again, I think Kevin Feige said that because he knows what's coming, right? He can say, hey, this is really important. It's an 8 out of 10, right? If the others,
but if you don't know,
Infinity War and Endgame were like 9s, 10s, like this is an 8 because I know everything, right? So
yeah, that's fair.
For those who are kind of disappointed that we didn't get, I am kind of disappointed that we didn't get like a direct answer. I'm also kind of not disappointed, but like, I don't know how to describe it, but basically moving forward, we don't have any idea of the difference between kind of like timelines, branch timelines, universes, time traveling, multiverse hopping, right? It was actually kind of messy because it's like, oh, this is your anchor being Logan, but he dies in the future, but your universe is still dying now, but it's going to take a few thousand years to die. I'm like, okay. I'm like,
who is the sacred timelines anchored being?
Right. Who is our sacred?
We're going to find out it was Iron Man, and that universe is getting destroyed because Iron Man was the sacred being and time's passing. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud now, but
very well could be. And that's a whole other
that's a whole different video, but it just popped in my head, so I said it.
I mean, it could be the Scarlet Witch, right? If she's a Nexus being.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing. But we have heard that is going to come into play.
Yeah,
right?
that'll be important moving forward.
So they did set up a lot, even if we didn't get a lot of answers. They did set up a lot of really cool things, and hopefully we start to see those things pay off. I don't like assume we're gonna see anything in regards to the multiverse and like Captain America or like the Thunderbolts. But hopefully in Avengers 5, that's when they really are like, okay, this is where we really have to set the tone of what's happening for Secret Wars.
I mean, what else do we have coming out or prospectively have it coming out that could kind of build that bridge? Maybe Shang-Chi 2 could have some type of connection.
I mean, Doctor Strange 3, I would say, would be a big one. And hopefully that gets announced tomorrow. So, but what's funny is, well, I'll bring it back to the fact that none of this affects how I felt about the film, right?
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
I don't care that you didn't give me any answers.
No.
I don't care that the time travel multiverse stuff, like that's a little messy because, also at the same time, it's like, wait, how did Deadpool travel to the 616 universe with Cable's time travel device? It's
there's
not supposed to be multiverse.
Like
and what is going on? I'm like, I don't care. You know what? I really don't care. Matter. It was cool to see him there. It's cool to see him talk to Happy. He mentioned Iron Man. He's like, he doesn't do this anymore. What, cameos? No, interviews. Like, oh gosh.
I do think there was really, really good setup while we're praising, because I've got lots to pray about.
Oh, there's so much to praise. Yeah.
But I think they did such a phenomenal job drawing the line between the comments that were made by Deadpool and people's overall understanding of them happening. Like whenever he would break the fourth wall, it was just like time froze. Like when he goes and like headbutts the camera and curses out Fox and turns around, like nobody even reacts to it. They're just like, and then he comes back and they're like, oh yeah, okay. And the same with like Happy, like he'd be like, oh, no more cameos, and he just kind of acts like he doesn't understand and just keeps going. He's not
right.
Like,
it's almost like Family Guy, how like you can't really hear Stewie talk.
Yeah,
right.
But like everything happens around it in like perfect chaos.
Right.
I thought it was so well done with the fourth wall breaks because that is such a hard thing to get right, and that's something that Deadpool's done right from the beginning. But Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2, they were simple wall breaks where he just kind of looks at the camera and does the little eye thing he does. But this was complicated fourth wall breaks.
There was some stuff here.
He's breaking the fourth wall with people, not just to the camera, who then do such a phenomenal job of not paying attention to these hilarious lines that we appreciate. So massive shout out for that because that's so easy to do wrong.
No, yeah, especially when it's like him on screen again. It's like what he says, he's like, we haven't been the same since Endgame or something, and then the other one's like, I think it's been steadily good like the entire time or whatever. And then when he tells Wolverine, welcome to the MCU, you're kind of joining at a low point.
There were so many good one-liners, so many good bits,
epic one-liners,
just absolute Ryan Reynolds masterclass on how to engage. And that's one of the big things this film did that a lot, maybe even Marvel haven't done, or movies in general, is engage the audience. And with a character like Deadpool, you do have a lot of opportunity to do that. But I like being engaged with. I like being. It feels like I like Deadpool cares about my opinion, which probably doesn't. But that's how I feel, and I love that.
And that's the whole point. Is that's how it makes you feel, and I think it did that for a lot of people. I like, again, if it wasn't for kind of a weird ending battle thing and just some slight pacing issues, I think it would have been a 10 out of 10. But I reserve my 10 out of 10s for like Endgame and Infinity War, which are huge, so it's like you really can't compare it to. So, and I hate, and I really don't like giving a rating, but I know a lot of people ask for a rating. Like, what do you rate it? I'm like, I think I rate it like 8.5 out of 10 because, I mean, it's one of my favorite movies ever now. Definitely one of my favorite top 5 Marvel movies, just top movies in general. I think it was fantastic, extremely well done. And for those asking, Marvel's back.
Marvel didn't go nowhere. But,
I'm one of the people who have kind of consistently enjoyed the MCU. You know, there are some things that I really did not like, right? But I've never thought, oh, this is it for the MCU.
Oh, one bad movie, the whole thing's over. No, I don't disagree with that either. And on that same note, like the first thing Warren texted me when he got out of the movie was, what do you rate it? And my exact response was, I hate rating things because it's so hard, especially with Marvel. But I will say this. It's my favorite of the trilogy.
Yeah, it is my favorite.
And I thought about that because the first one is absolute gold.
Yeah.
And I thought about that for a while, and I said, you know what? This is my favorite of the trilogy. Well deserved. Not necessarily easy to do. Was not a guarantee just because Wolverine was in it. There was a lot of, like, people might even misappreciate how hard it might have been to get this right and how easy it would have been to get it wrong. So I'm trying to like weigh that as well with the complicated fourth wall breaks and the nostalgia and bringing in Hugh Jackman and adding swearing to Marvel movies. Like that could all go horribly wrong. And they just nailed it time after time after time again for 2 hours and 17 minutes, or whatever. And it wasn't long enough.
I would actually say that's my biggest complaint in the movie. It wasn't long enough because I just enjoyed it so much. I wanted more. But you're right. There was so much that had to just be right about this movie that they got right. And that is so hard with so many different things being a part of this movie, right? It's hard to, like, honestly, like getting 80% of it, 70% of it all right is a huge accomplishment. But I think they got it pretty much all right. It was fantastic. It's an awesome movie, and I'm about to go see it again in an hour. So let us know your thoughts. What did you think in the comments down below? And thank you for joining us for this spoiler discussion. And it's always fun when we get to do, you know, the spoiler talks when everybody's already seen it or they simply want the spoilers. But now you know how we feel about the movie. We're going to watch it some more and we'll talk about it a lot more as well. And I think a lot of very exciting things are coming for the future of the MCU. We will get a Deadpool Captain America team up, I believe, in Secret Wars. Fingers crossed for that. But again, let us know. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. We'll catch you all in the next video. Woof, woof.